That's not the way we do ministry as a United Methodist Church. And if you'll do that, but we don't want to have a part-time pastor. Well, maybe a part-time pastor would be the way for them to do more ministry, if it frees some dollars up. What they don't know, if you had a part-time pastor, it would also reduce their apportionments. Do you see what I'm saying? So I think we have to be realistic about this. If we're talking about, and this is something, we can't subsidize pastors' salaries. There's not enough money to do that. And every time we do that with a church, it means there's money that we're not doing with ministry to reach new people. So the reason we have charges is because that's the way Methodism got its start. And it means it sort of returns the work of our Christ to the people. So hey, we're going to have to put some churches together. But here's another aha moment, and I speak about this in terms of Dallas more than anywhere else. It's like, how do you have a church in a great area in the city that is just doing nothing? What do we need to do to help that church become more effective and fruitful? And so I talk about what are the strategies we're going to use all across the conference in terms of reaching the mission field instead of protecting clergy, and to be honest, protecting churches. Because what we really all desire, if you really think about it, in the deep core of your being and soul, you want your church, you want to care about everybody in it, but you also know there's somebody out there who has no faith community. And I hope and pray to God that's the most important piece of why you exist. So that is becoming the way in which we're talking about several pieces. Okay, let me say this one next. What is a reconciling congregation? So a reconciling congregation is part of the reconciling movement that is not an official part of the United Methodist Church, but is one of the unofficial caucuses. There are many. And the reconciling movement is basically advocates for the full inclusion of gay and lesbian persons in the life of the church, which means they advocate for same-gender marriage and for the ordination of self-avowed practicing homosexuals. So that's what the reconciling movement does. We have 4 reconciling congregations in North Texas. And you can go on the Reconciling Ministries page and find out how to do that. But this isn't something that the conference does. It's not something you do through the conference. And so I think I need to say that. So that's what a reconciling congregation is. And how you do that is with them, and I don't know how you do that. But this is what I can tell you. It does not happen easily within a congregation. If you choose to do that, I'm not advocating one way or the other here. And I won't spring this on people without a lot of work. Okay? Because anytime you do something different, something that some people may be uncomfortable with, it's best to not just sort of, let's get together for a vote one night and decide this. And that's, I don't know what the genesis of the question is or where it's coming from, but I don't know how to become a reconciling congregation. I've never pastored a reconciling congregation, but I know that network can help you. But even before you did that, I think it'd be helpful that you had another kind of conversation with inside your church, rather than sort of getting something started that may or may not be the wishes of most people. So there's another piece here. Do you have something to say about loving others unlike yourself? Well, people who are unlike me is everybody I meet, and we're all different. And that being said, I think the question is really about something deeper and broader than that. I talked about women several minutes ago in terms of embracing clergy women as a pastor. But we've got to remember, we're not the judge here. And sometimes people who are different from us, we tend to think because they're different from us, that means they're not as good as we are. I mean, that's the subtle message. So loving someone in this manner in which God talks about love is a decision that you make. And the decision you make is am I going to see people, try to see people as God sees them? A beloved child of God. And that doesn't mean you have to like them. I mean, we don't like everybody we come in contact with. And I'm not talking about that in a negative way. But we can love everybody we come in contact with. It doesn't mean that I'm going to invite them over for dinner at our house. Well, I'd ask Joan first anyway, to be clear about that. But you know, this love, as it refers to in the gospel, in which Jesus talks about, is the way in which we view people, and the way in which we treat them, and the way in which we advocate for them, and the way in which we embrace them and welcome them. And we need to remember that any United Methodist Church, when we use this tag that we've been using about open hearts, open minds, open doors, is really a way of describing the way in which we are all challenged to see others as God sees them. And so I've been very clear in some recent settings that if any person, regardless of anything of how different they may, regardless of differences, I mean, male, female, skin color, orientation, everybody is welcome in a United Methodist Church. I mean, we just got to be honest. I mean, we are not shutting the door on a child of God. Everybody with me? So we don't do that. And if we have a clergy person who somehow believes we have to qualify somebody's entrance, then we need to have a serious conversation. And frankly, what sets us apart from the culture is the way we are called to view, treat, and love people. Sometimes we allow what's going on in the culture, even politically, to influence how we react to people. I believe God's calling us to a higher level of being and doing than that. And so, anyway, I think that's a challenge for all of us. And it's been a challenge for me sometimes in my own life. With people who may disagree with me, but I want you to know that it's amazing how somebody's different opinion or even differences may actually speak to us in a way we would not have known had we not had that conversation or that relationship. I got several about the zip code, so let me just sort of talk about this somewhat. I know there's been a meeting in Clarksville because I was just told about it Tuesday night. So let me talk about the zip code. So there's several questions. They involve money. Where do you send your money? You know, you can give your money to your local church, put a zip code project in, and they'll know to send to the conference and how to do that. So I want to say that we trust that treasurers do the right thing. Some of us talked about the dispersal of money. So if I give the money here, will it stay here? Will it go to Dallas? So I need to tell you, when it comes, we're spending it wherever we need it. And so it's not like somebody's going to get more than the other. It's like when we get ready to deploy something, we'll have the money. And so we're going to keep an accounting, but we're not going to, at this time, the decision's not made to decide Dallas versus Red River County. Because if we do that, there may not be enough for Red River County. You see what I'm saying? So we're equally committed to both zip codes. They have very different ways in which we're going to do mission and ministry in those zip codes. It could require more funds to do one over another any particular year. So we're not going to spend a lot of time trying to keep that straight. What we're going to do is we're going to trust you, trust ourselves, trust our God, that we're going to do the right thing with money at the right appropriate time. But it's not like we're going to put, if we got $1 million tomorrow, I can assure you that we wouldn't split it half and half. I can assure you we wouldn't give 3/4 of it to Dallas. I can assure you we'll decide what's going to be the most systemic, the best bang for the buck we can get, and where is it needed. There are times we think that we may need more in Red River County. We think we have ways of using people of influence and influence in Dallas and tapping into resources there uniquely. I mean, with all the nonprofits and some interested people in the zip code. So what I want to say is zip code money is going to be zip code money, and we're going to be totally fair. And the reason we're going to be totally fair is we particularly chose an urban zip code, and we particularly chose a zip code in a rural area because we wanted to do this well in both places. And it was a way in which we could form our ministry. And we think that every time we think of ministry with the poor and overwhelming the denomination, people don't think about rural areas. And we are so focused on how we get this right that we're going to employ one GBGM developer there and one GBGM developer in Dallas. And so it's going to be equal, is whatever equal means, or fair. I better not use equal because, you know, your children, remember when they're younger, they wanted equal treatment. So it's going to be, we're going to do this fairly, and I can promise you that if your money will be well spent, and we will not waste it. I think this is, if we want to help East Texas Conference, we don't have an East Texas Conference, the East District, who do we send it to? If it's zip code money, I think I've spoken to that. I think the best, if I've not been clear, you have a deeper question about that, I invite you to call Dick, Assad, your district superintendent. Talked about how to send the monies. Let me go through it. So I got 3 or 4 questions about money. So I want to say this again. I promise you, I think there may be a question of trust here. And I understand that. So let me, I promise you, we're going to do this right and fairly. And you don't have any reason to believe that we can be trusted doing this, you think. You have it on my word that we are as committed to 75426 as we are to 75215. And I promise. And actually, we will know where the money comes from when you send it through your church, because it comes from an East District church, and we'll know it. The district that ought to be concerned about the money is the Northwest District. They don't even have a zip code in the project, and we're asking them to help fund this. So it's a conference initiative, and we're gonna do it well. How will the information on the zip code project progress and be available? Actually, this is a conversation that's emerged in the last 2 or 3 weeks, and I sort of wait for them to emerge for our way in, and I knew this was going to be a problem. I'm driving. I'm not being helpful to you, am I? Would you rather me just stand still? It's not going to happen. So, okay, we need to wind this up here. So, actually, we are working on a way in which we're going to use a piece of the website to do that and do progress and that kind of thing. And our communications team doesn't know this. I got approached by from the PR communications department at SMU about them working on this for us for little or no fee, a group of students. And I actually like the idea because I think it's a great project for students, and secondly because I think they'll work hard at it. And I think we're going to need lots of help with this. So, I mean, there are lots of things we're going to do, but soon we'll start working on that, and you can know by the website, but it's not up. But we will send, when we put it up on the website, I'll cut a video and we'll send an email to everybody whose email address we have, and we'll announce it, and that's the way to go. Okay, so I've taken longer than I expected to, and it's getting close to lunchtime, and I just looked at my watch, and I apologize, I talked too long. But what I want to tell you is I want to thank you for who you are and for what you do. And frankly, there are people you've met before in your life who really are committed to Jesus simply because of your life and because of who you are. And I want to thank you for that. And I want to thank you for caring for people in your congregation and your community. I want to thank you for the way in which you support your pastor. But most importantly, I want to thank you for being a follower of Jesus and representing the Christ in the world that desperately needs to hear the story that you have to share. I enjoy being here today. And some people thought I was crazy to do this in every district. And I said, well, there are only 4. I have colleagues who have 16. So this has been a lot easier than some of my colleagues would have done. and just to be with you and to hear you and to have the conversations I've had with some of you personally and privately, to answer your questions and get to share what I think is exciting work ahead for the Northern Texas Conference to reach the mission field, that God has placed us uniquely in this place and this time to do that which God expects and needs each and every one of us to do. So, God bless you. Go in peace. Do you want me to give the benediction? What do we do?
I'm going to ask Jim Skaggs to do that.
Oh,
But
let's
I
say-
need to make an announcement.
Oh, an announcement. But thank you for letting me be here so very much, and thank you.